In the late 1980s, a young, hungry stockbroker named Jordan Belfort walked onto Wall Street with nothing but a cheap suit and a big mouth. Just a few years later, he was earning $12 million in a single weekend. Not from tech, not from real estate, not from any kind of genius investment strategy, but from selling worthless garbage stocks to everyday people and convincing them it was gold. And here is the shocking part. The FBI had no clue for years. Belfort was not just conning other rich people. He was targeting retirees, families, young investors, anyone with a phone and a dream. Behind the wild parties, the super yachts, the bags of cash, and the models on every arm, there was one thing fueling it all: fraud. So how did one man manipulate the entire financial world, live like a king, and then lose everything? Because this is not just the movie. This is the real story of the Wolf of Wall Street, a man who turned lies into billions, and whose story is a masterclass in charm, chaos, and consequence. In 1987, Jordan Belfort stepped into Wall Street for the first time, 22 years old, full of ambition, with dreams bigger than the skyscrapers around him. He became a trainee at a respected firm, ready to learn the ropes, play by the rules, and climb to the top. But just as his career began, everything crashed. Literally. That October, the stock market suffered its worst single-day drop in history. Black Monday. The industry froze, firms collapsed, and Belfort laid off before he could even collect a full paycheck. But this is where the story takes a sharp turn. Instead of giving up, he turned to the only corner of the financial world still hiring: penny stocks. These were cheap, often worthless stocks, traded over the counter. Most brokers ignored them, but Belfort saw something no one else did. The commission was 50%. That meant for every $4,000 he convinced someone to invest, he pocketed $2,000. And the people buying? They were not millionaires. They were average Americans, teachers, truck drivers, small business owners, people who believed they were being let in on a secret. Jordan spoke fast, sounded smart, and sold lies with confidence. He would pitch these trash stocks like they were the next Microsoft, and people believed him because he knew how to sell hope. Then he had a realization that changed everything. The rich won't make you rich, he thought. They are careful, they ask questions. But the middle class, they dream big, they trust more, and they will bet the farm if you make it sound exciting enough. And so, he built a business around that exact idea. Stratton Oakmont was born, a flashy, fast-talking boiler room brokerage that operated more like a frat party than a financial firm. The phones never stopped ringing. Brokers shouted over one another, pounding desks, feeding each other lines. Everyone was chasing the next big sale, and every sale was based on a lie. But those lies, they were making millions. And behind it all was Belfort, watching his dream unfold, knowing the entire empire was built on nothing real. So now the question becomes, how far can someone go when every dollar is built on a lie? By the early 1990s, Stratton Oakmont was no longer a scrappy boiler room. It had become a financial empire. Over 1,000 brokers packed into their high-energy offices, dialing nonstop, chasing commissions, and living off adrenaline. Jordan Belfort was no longer just a broker. He was now a king in his own twisted kingdom. From the outside, it looked like the American dream on steroids. Money poured in. The office was wild, filled with strippers, champagne, and even live animals at office parties. Brokers were driving Lamborghinis, flying on private jets, and snorting lines of cocaine off gold-plated desks. But behind all the chaos was a system of pure fraud. Stratton Oakmont's core business model was a pump-and-dump scheme. Jordan and his brokers would artificially inflate the price of a stock, getting thousands of people to buy in through fake hype and aggressive sales tactics. Then, once the price peaked, the firm would dump its shares, cash out, and leave their clients, the everyday investors, with absolutely nothing. People lost their life savings. And as the money and madness grew, so did the pressure. The SEC, Wall Street's watchdog, started circling. But Jordan, he was always one move ahead. He moved funds offshore, changed company names, used loopholes, and bribed insiders. To his team, he looked untouchable, a hero, a god. Even his own employees were being manipulated. Jordan made his brokers believe they were building something real. He told them to invest in Stratton Oakmont stocks, to believe in the mission, and they did. Some poured in their own savings, only to watch it vanish. They were not just selling the dream, they were buying it too. Want to know how crazy it got? When Steve Madden, the now famous shoe brand, went public, Jordan's firm handled the IPO. But not legally. They rigged the launch, drove the price up, and cashed out before anyone knew what hit them. It was big. It was bold. It was completely illegal. But the wolf kept howling. The offices stayed loud. The parties got wilder. The money kept flowing. But behind the scenes, the walls were starting to shake. So now the real question is, what finally exposed the wolf behind the charm? By the mid-1990s, Jordan Belfort was living like a movie villain, and the world was finally starting to notice. He was spending $700,000 on hotel stays, flying around the world on private jets, crashing his helicopter while high, and even trying to smuggle stacks of cash in Swiss banks using his wife's aunt. The wild lifestyle that once looked impressive was now becoming a liability. And it was not just Jordan slipping. His right-hand man, Donnie Azoff, based on the real-life Danny Porish, was starting to lose control too. They were both spiraling, one mistake at a time. Drugs were everywhere. Jordan was hooked on Quaaludes, cocaine, and morphine, often all at once. His speech was slurred, his judgment was wrecked, and his sense of reality blurred. He was running a $100 million scam, completely high. The office, still loud, still fast, but cracks were showing, and someone was listening. The FBI had been watching quietly. Now they made their move. They tapped the phones at Stratton Oakmont. Every deal, every lie, every inside joke, recorded. They followed the money, and what they found was shocking. Over $200 million in investor losses. This was no longer just shady business. This was federal crime on a massive scale. And Jordan, he started to feel the heat. But instead of slowing down, he doubled down. More parties, more pills, more fake deals. He believed he could outtalk anyone, even the government. But the net was tightening. His friends were getting nervous. Some disappeared. Others were questioned. And Jordan's once loyal empire, it was starting to turn on him. The real twist was coming. Behind the scenes, the FBI was offering deals. Reduced sentences, clean records, all in exchange for one thing: evidence against Belfort. So now it all comes down to this moment. Would Jordan fight to hold it all together, or flip to save himself? Because when the truth is closing in, and your kingdom was built on lies, what happens when the wolf runs out of places to hide? By 1999, the empire Jordan Belfort built with fast talk and fake dreams had finally hit the wall. The FBI made their move. After years of wiretaps, interviews, and following the money trail, they arrested Jordan and hit him with a stack of federal charges, including securities fraud, money laundering, and obstruction of justice. The sentence? If convicted, he was looking at 30 years behind bars. But the wolf still had one last move. To save himself, Jordan did the unthinkable. He agreed to wear a wire. The man who taught his brokers loyalty, who sold himself as untouchable, turned on his own team. One by one, he recorded phone calls, set up meetings, and handed over names to the FBI. All the people who had trusted him, friends, partners, employees, were thrown under the bus to buy Jordan a lighter sentence. And it worked. While many of his former loyalists saw their lives fall apart, Jordan walked away with just 22 months in a white-collar prison. Not 30 years, less than 2. But the real punishment? It was not just legal. Everything else he cared about began to crumble. His wife, the glamorous model he had paraded at parties, the mother of his children, filed for divorce. She had stood by him through the wild years, through the lies, through the drugs. But now, she was done. And when the divorce was final, Jordan lost custody of his kids too. The man who had it all, yachts, jets, mansions, fame, now had nothing. No family, no friends, no company, no power. Former brokers he mentored went bankrupt. Colleagues were blacklisted from finance forever. Lives were destroyed, all because they believed in him. And the worst part? He knew it. He had not just scammed strangers. He had betrayed everyone close to him. The same charm that built his empire had now burned every bridge around him. His name became a punchline. His story, a warning. What does a man do when the empire is gone? And his name is mud. When the money, fame, and power have all vanished, and all that's left is regret? Because the rise was thrilling. The fall was brutal. But the most important part? What came after? In 2006, after serving just 22 months in prison, Jordan Belfort walked out a free man. No empire, no money, no team waiting for him. But what he did still have was a story. And Jordan knew how to sell a story. He sat down and started writing, page after page, chapter after chapter. It was raw, vulgar, dramatic. He told it all. The drugs, the scams, the betrayals, the yacht sinking in the Mediterranean. The result, a memoir titled The Wolf of Wall Street. And just like that, he was back. In 2013, the book was adapted into a Hollywood film, directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio as Belfort. It wasn't just a movie, it became a cultural phenomenon. Suddenly, Jordan's voice was everywhere again. The memes exploded, the chest thumping, the sell me this pen, the yachts and chaos. It all became legendary. But here's the strange twist. Jordan Belfort became more famous after prison than he was during his crimes. He began selling business courses, giving motivational speeches, and even launching a podcast. He called himself a sales coach, teaching entrepreneurs how to close deals, master persuasion, and yes, this time do it with ethics. He talks about his downfall. He admits the lies, and he says he's changed. But not everyone buys it. Many of the people he defrauded, ordinary families, retirees, first-time investors, still haven't been repaid. And critics say his success now is just another grift, a rebranded hustle wearing a suit and a smile. They ask, if he's truly sorry, why hasn't he paid back the full $110 million he owes? Because as of now, only a fraction has been returned. And while he gives talks on accountability, he still lives in luxury, still signs autographs, still thrives in the spotlight. And that's where the conflict really is. Is Jordan Belfort a man who learned from his mistakes? Or is he just selling a cleaner version of the same manipulation? Even today, people still pay thousands to hear him speak. Young entrepreneurs quote him. Social media glorifies him. And in a world that often rewards flash over substance, the wolf is somehow still winning. He's been banned from finance. He's still a convicted felon. But his brand, bigger than ever. So we're left with the final question, the one that really matters. Is Jordan Belfort truly a changed man? Or is he just a smarter, smoother, more polished wolf, still out for the kill? In the end, Jordan Belfort didn't just sell stocks, he sold dreams. He sold the idea that anyone could be rich, that rules were for losers, and that success meant taking, not giving. And that's what made his scam so dangerous. It wasn't just about money, it was about belief. Because the truth is, people wanted to believe him. Wall Street wanted to believe. Investors wanted to believe. Even the brokers he trained, they believed. And why? Because greed is blinding. It dulls logic, kills caution, and opens the door for wolves. Jordan didn't fool a system that was clean. He thrived in one that was already dirty. He was the perfect mirror to everything wrong with that era. And maybe with this one too. Success without ethics always crashes harder than the market. And behind the parties, the boats, the madness was a trail of shattered lives. Families lost homes. Employees lost everything. Kids lost parents. That's the real story, not the memes, not the movie. And yes, he was the wolf. But the jungle let him run wild for far too long. So here's the question we have to ask ourselves today. Are we still falling for wolves in better suits, with bigger smiles and cleaner scams? Because Jordan's story isn't just about the past. It's a warning. And whether we learn from it is up to us. Jordan Belfort's story is wild, thrilling, and almost unbelievable. But beneath the yachts, money, and movie moments, it's a tragedy. Because for every million he made, someone else lost everything. And while he may have landed on his feet, many of those he scammed never recovered. Let this be a reminder. Charisma can't cover fraud forever. Eventually the truth comes out. And when the music stops, somebody always pays. Sometimes it's the investors. Sometimes it's the family. Sometimes it's all of us. So if you want more real stories that hit harder than fiction, where truth is not just stranger than movies, it's more important than them, hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started. And now, the question's on you. Do you think Jordan Belfort truly deserves redemption, or did he just get lucky? Again, let us know in the comments. We'll be watching.